are definitely in for a treat. Uh, I have had the pleasure of knowing Mr. Cecil, and I have experienced some of his incredible training and presentations, and he is always quite the character. I'm going to pass this over to Denise for a moment here, and I know she has some information that she would like to bring up. Darren, are you with us, please?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Perfect.
Thank you. Kind of like Verizon. Denise, are you with us as well?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. Hi, Darren. It's wonderful to have you at CANNA World Expo. Thank you for joining us. A lot of people are in the cannabis industry. We've heard that this is an essential service. So your expertise in sales optimization will certainly empower business owners to reach out to more clients, more patients. And I have one question for you, sir. Sales. I'm on the marketing end of the equation. Sales, I know that it's an art. And could you please share with the audience I came across this photo and I was mystified by how captivating your messages are to audiences. Would you care to explain?
Well, I noticed you placed me in the afternoon time slot for people having lunch. So maybe you brought me on so people can continue a siesta. So I do appreciate that. And I would like to say that in fairness to that slide, one of my colleagues that I was going over some PowerPoint slides for a presentation this week, it was in the middle of the night in Paris. And so perhaps I'm better at it than one may think, but who really knows? But I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to have a conversation. And I would say that perhaps people can decide for themselves if I'm a decent speaker. Is that fair, Denise?
That is fair.
So what you're telling me is you have captivated audiences around the world.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for captivating our audience. That was priceless. You are not going to put us to sleep. I promise the audience you guys can engage and really get some tips on what this buyers and sellers dance is.
Yes, actually, absolutely. And in fact, Darren, you're actually the perfect person to have at this time slot because you are such a captivating presenter and speaker. So
thank you.
Take it away, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Darren Cecil. My company is Enrich Sales. What I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about, first of all, I know none of you have any sales challenges at all. And there used to be a slogan that was called, friends don't let their friends drive drunk. So I want to have friends don't let their friends have sales challenges. And so towards that end, I would like to talk about the buyer-seller dance. You see, salespeople have a system. Even if it's called fly by the seat of your pants, salespeople still have a system. I want to share what that is. I want to share what the buyer system is. And then I want you to decide which do you think is more powerful. And then maybe one or two tips on how to change that dance. Okay. And why is a dance important? A dance is important because whoever leads the dance controls the rhythm, the pace, the movement, all sorts of things. In a lot of times, if you like to dance, you probably know more than I do. I'm not very good at it, but nevertheless, I'm good at demonstrating this. So this is, I'm very grateful to the work of David Sandler by talking about the buyer-seller dance, and I want to share this with you. So the first thing salespeople do when they find a suspect. They're not a prospect, they're a suspect, is we qualify them. And you probably do a really good job of qualifying. However, do you ever get these calls in your work or at home going, congratulations, you've won a no obligation free estimate on the whatevers, right? If you can fog a mirror, you're pretty much qualified, right? But you do a really good job of qualifying. Yet, however, most people don't. You breathe, you're qualified, right? So you qualify someone. But then someone's like, oh my gosh, where have you been all my life? I really need what you have. So the next thing you do is you present. And you are such an engaging presenter. I mean, you could pass out popcorn and snacks and they're captivated. It's almost award-winning material. Why? Because you're so good at presenting what you know, which is your product or your service. And they are sitting there looking like they had just seen an Academy Award film. And then what you do is you win for the close. Oh my gosh, it's very exciting. And they sign on the dotted line 100% of the time. Isn't that true? Well, probably not. And what happens is, what do? They object. But that's okay because you overcome objections because you've read these books. 25 ways to overcome objections, 15 ways to get someone to say yes when they want to say no. Do you ever read any of this garbage? It's horrible. Because on page 7, if you say to me your price is too high, I'm supposed to say compared to what? It doesn't even make sense, right? But you overcome an objection and they give you another objection and you overcome that objection. Here's a hint. There's only one person that can overcome an objection. It's the person that raises it himself or herself. So stop reading these books, right? They're not effective. Think about how you can reframe conversation so they can see for themselves why they should move forward with you. But what happens is they object, you overcome, they object, you overcome, they object, you overcome. And I ask when I do this in front of large audiences, people say, I want to punch them in the face, they want to punch me in the face, or I want to leave, or they want to leave. If that's your selling system that ends in violence, I think we may have a challenge. But once again, you don't have these challenges. We know people that do. So we're learning this for our friends and our colleagues, right? And so this system has been around forever and a day. Perhaps it predates the invention of fire by 32 years. This thing has been around forever. But at some point, somewhere along the line, came buyers, and they were skeptical of salespeople. So they created their own system for self-protection. And so the first thing a buyer does is lie. Think about it. If they come into the dispensary and you say, may I help you with something? They say, no, thank you, just looking. They can't even tell you why they're there. Why? I'm going to get psychological on you for 48 seconds. There's something called transactional analysis. There's 3 tapes in our heads. There's an adult, a parent, and a child tape. And the parent, the child tape shut off when we were about 9 years old, 11 years old. And so as a kid growing up, I was told growing up in Boston, never to talk to strangers. Why? Because they could hurt me, right? Stranger danger. I have 3 children and my second grandchild was just born a couple days ago. And I was wondering if you're going to show that slide when that baby was sleeping. So thank you, Jessica, for not showing that one of another example of me putting someone to sleep. So if I have a moment, I'll share a story at the end that brings it all home.
You are so welcome, Darren.
Thank you, Jess. I really appreciate it. So what happens is we lie. Our buyers lie. Someone says, how often do buyers lie? Only when they're awake. And they're not bad people. They're just protecting themselves. There used to be a game show called Password. If I were to get you to say the word password, the word salesperson, what are some words you might say? Probably conniving, slimy, annoying, pushy. Do your parents ever tuck you in at night? Did they ever say, we're so proud of you, we love you, you can be anything you want when you grow up? You can be a doctor, you can be a teacher, you can be an athlete, you can be a mom, you can be a dad, but most of all, we hope you have a rewarding career as a salesperson. Because what do we think of salespeople? Slimy, pushy, annoying. You see why we don't trust salespeople? Someone told me at a networking event, what do you do when women hit on you at networking events? I go, that happens never. But if it did, I would simply try to sell them a mortgage or life insurance. just start selling somebody something, they will walk away fairly quickly. So the first thing the buyer does is lie because they want to protect themselves. And then after they lie, they steal. They steal your information. They steal your pricing. They steal whatever your intellectual capabilities, your proprietary information. They steal. And then after that, they mislead. They mislead. So I'm actually looking for a car with my youngest son, and typically we'll we will mislead. You know what? We're really not ready to make a decision today. We may come back. We're not sure. And then what happens is once a salesperson gives away their information, I go into hide mode. So there's the system: lie, steal, mislead, and hide. So years ago, I've had the privilege of training people in lots of places and lots of countries, and I probably have trained people probably like 20, 25 countries around the world. Not traveling there, but training people from those places. And years ago, I trained 4,000 people for the Super Bowl, and I thought it was really good because people told me how good I was, and I got a ton of contracts actually that I could start my business. And so, anyway, this huge company, I won't reveal the company, said, "We love you. We want to talk with you about training our whole company, and we want you to meet with our vice presidents. When we love you, you're going to travel the world." I was so excited. I think I went out and bought a new suit. I had socks that matched. I had a PowerPoint presentation. If that didn't work, remember the old plastic overheads? I had those, and I had handouts, and I rocked it. Why? Because at the end they said, "You were so good. We didn't realize how good you are. You were better than good." What's the first thing they did to me? They lied. And then they said, "You know what? See this chair? It belongs to the vice president so-and-so. Give us a week. We're excited to work with you." And then they lied again. And then I called back in a week going, "Hey, it's Darren, excited to work with you." And I don't hear anything on that following Monday. So I don't want to wait and call the next day because I sound too desperate. So I wait till Wednesday. And I say, "I just want to make sure there wasn't any last minute questions on the whatever," and make something up. I don't hear anything on Thursday. And on Friday, I make a choice. I've gone from someone that brings value to the marketplace to someone that looks and feels like a pest. And I don't want to call. And if I don't call, it ruins my weekend with my family. And on Monday morning, I don't call. I take that person's business card from my yes pile and move it to my no pile. And I say, "How the heck did that happen again?" See, what happened was they took my information and they trained their people with my material. I had become what I would call an unpaid consultant. And I ask you, how hard or how easy might it be for you to cash your unpaid consultant check at the bank so you can pay your mortgage? Right? Lie, steal, mislead, and hide. So, what I'd like to do, Jessica, I'd like to ask some people if people want to just shout out, or you can answer for them. Do do anybody out there? Do your prospects lie to you, or is it just my world? And what does it sound like?
Well, the thing is, we've got people on Facebook, and we've got Zoom and all this stuff going on. But oh yeah, I mean, I know in industries that I've dealt with, absolutely,
Okay.
you've got the stealing going on, you've got the misleading going on, and definitely the hiding. And gee, I think I've kind of definitely. I mean, I know, like, the whole car story that you mentioned and stuff,
Yep.
you most people take information and go, and, you go car shopping and,
That's right.
uh, you
That's
know,
right. That's right.
yeah,
And it
absolutely.
and it happens in every industry I've ever been involved in. And you name the industry, I have worked in it, right? And it happens in every industry, in every country I've ever spoken to. And it's something that permeates all of it. And we're not bad people. So one time, Jessica, I was doing this presentation in front of a lot of CEOs, and there was a gentleman in the back in my training center in San Diego that I think he may have had Tourette syndrome or just something, but he decided he was going to drop a bomb. And he said, "Holy smokes, I can't believe our people ever sell a damn thing." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "Can I come up in the front?" I was like, "Yes." So he ran up like he was the next contestant on The Price is Right. And he said, "Can I see your marker?" I'm like, "You want my marker?" He goes, "Yes." He said, "Darren, if my people are trying to qualify you and you're lying, who wins?" And I said, "Well, let's ask the room. And they yell, the buyer, also known as the liar. I go, yes. He said, if my people are presenting and you're stealing from us, who wins? And I said, audience, they go, the buyer. They steal your information. They steal your pricing. They steal your intellectual property. They steal all sorts of things. They steal your time. And then you want to have some fun, tell people that they don't get paid by the hour anyway, so it doesn't really matter. They're not stealing their time. That's really fun to watch them get upset with. He really enjoyed me saying that. He goes, no, my people are wasting time because they have so many more things they could do, Darren. I'm like, I totally get you. Just having some fun, right? Having some fun, trying to keep them all awake, right? And then he said, if my people are trying to close you, Darren, and you're misleading and hiding, who wins? And I go, audience, the buyer. I'm like, yes. He goes, I can't believe we ever sell a damn thing. I think they just like what we have. And maybe we have a bunch of order takers. And I go, oh, can I piss you off more? He goes, oh, please do. I said, okay. I said, out of qualify, present, close, what do your salespeople like to do the most? He goes, oh, present without a doubt. And then people are like, no, it's closed. It's closed. They're all yelling, close. It's closed. He goes, all right, it's closed. I go, no, you know what? You're right. It's present. And he said, why is that? And I said, well, a couple of reasons. One, when you trained them, you brought them away to presentation school and they learned all about whatever your product or service does. They spend so much time, usually in New Jersey for some reason. That seems to be the big place. It's usually 2 weeks. 9 days is talked about what the product does. The 10th day is people are hungover and maybe they get an hour on how to sell, right? And I said, so it's present because people love to present. Why? They get to demonstrate how smart they are, or they get to demonstrate how they can solve your challenges. You see, most salespeople, I hate to tell you this, sir, most salespeople are not money motivated. They're need for approval motivated. And so he's like, really? I go, yeah. I said, now watch this. I said, out of lie, steal, mislead, and hide, what do you think is the number one goal of the buyer? And I asked the audience, and there was, people just raised their hands. And I said, it's steal because they want your information. Why? As Jessica said, they can leverage it against other companies. Hey, they're going to do it for this. Will you do it for that? The person that spoke before talking about value, if you only sell on price, you will lose on price because someone will always do it cheaper, right? And so, yes, you have to create the value. And I'll tell you how you're going to create it in just a second, right? So the number one goal of the buyer is to steal. So all day long, salespeople are presenting. All day long, buyers are stealing. It's a marriage made in heaven. It will never, ever end. And he goes, oh my gosh. And so I ask people, how do you feel about this? And they go, oh, I can't, it's horrible. It's disgusting. Oh, I can't believe they do this to us. This is wrong. This is horrible. And I said, let me ask you a question. How many of you do this when you buy things? Like, yeah, but that's different. They're unscrupulous. I have to protect myself. But I'm a church going person. I'm a nice person. I give to charity. They should not have to do this to me. And I'm like, it's a system that everybody uses. Not everybody, but most people use. So I want to give a couple of tips, if I may, on ways to get rid of it. The first one is you want to establish rapport with your prospect up front. Here's the best thing I can suggest you do. On every sales call and in every meeting, on whatever you have, always ask for help about your personal life. People love to help people. People are afraid to ask for help. And in sales, if you want to be valuable, be vulnerable. And so I might say, hey, Jessica, I know you live in the Vegas area. I've got clients in Vegas. I don't suppose you can recommend a good place to have dinner. Could you? And either Jessica's going to say, I know Vegas so well, go to this place. I know the owners. Tell them Jessica sent you. Now, she doesn't really care if I go. She wants to demonstrate she's better than me, and that's okay with me, right? And then the next thing she might do, or she'll say, hey, you know what? I know the owners. Tell them that I sent you. They're really nice people. Now, she really wants to make sure I have a good time. It doesn't matter. She gets to refer a person for me for dinner. It can be about directions. I live in Southern California. Everybody thinks they have a decoder ring how to get to someplace in Southern California, right? It can be about directions. It can be about children. My children have been gold mines over the years. My son received professional pitching lessons from former Major League Baseball players, right? And soccer tips and all sorts of things. And I'll tell you how quickly asking for help can make money. So I had a client that was told he had 15 minutes to meet with the CFO. The CEO was making him, but the CFO said, I don't want anything to do with this person. He said, that's okay. Give him 15 minutes. So he did. And he called me up and he said, what am I supposed to do? I said, let's go on LinkedIn. He said, why? I said, we need to ask for help. That's what you're going to do in the 15 minutes because he hates you. I mean, he absolutely hates you. So we got to fix that. And so I said, there it is. He said, what's that? I said, well, my daughter's looking at college options and one could be the Naval Academy. And he went to the Naval Academy. So you say, I don't suppose you can give me a tip. I have a friend whose daughter is looking for the Naval Academy as a possible option. Can you give me some suggestions? They talked for probably 30 minutes about the Naval Academy. And then the salesperson that I instructed what to do said, you know what, I've taken all your time. I am so sorry I've taken all your time. And the guy goes, hey, wait a minute, before you go, tell your friend's daughter to apply for the Naval Academy. It's the single best thing I've ever done in my life. And when you walked in, I didn't want anything to do with you, but something changed. And I want to listen to what you have to say. That asking for help was a multi-million-dollar deal. And I can tell you, I did a 2-day training in Shanghai and one in Germany before COVID. And with these techniques and these tools and getting over the buyer seller dance, one gentleman closed a $150 million deal and one gentleman closed a $105 million deal. So my clients have closed over $1 billion in sales over the years. And it's understanding the buyer seller dance. Then the last thing I'll give you as a tip is I believe selling is a lot like dating. On every date, you have a right to say yes and you have a right to say no. In every game, there's ground rules. Have ground rules for the sale that you say, if it's not a good fit, would you feel comfortable telling me no? And they'll be so empowered. They'll be like, I'll tell you no all day long. And you do this up front after you ask for help. And then you'll say, you know what? We're not all things to all people. If I don't think what I have will bring value to you, are you okay if I tell you no? Now, some people say that's blasphemy. Not everyone's a client. Not everyone's a client. And it gives you the chance to say no. Why? It builds up so much integrity that now you have. If I say I get to tell you no, I'm looking out for your best interest. If I don't say that, I'm looking out for my own best interest. And the last thing you can say is, if you think what I have makes sense, would you feel comfortable telling me yes? You'd like to look at next steps, and you and I can discuss what those next steps look like. I mean, that is a way to get rid of the lie, steal, mislead, and hide. Why? Because they're going to give you a yes or no at the end of the meeting. And to think it over. So my son is 2 years old. He said to his mom, can we go to SeaWorld? And she said, let me think about it. He burst into tears. He said, no, Mommy, a think it over means no. I used to be on the radio every night and gave a 1-minute sales tip. So my 2-year-old son said, I'm Darren Michael Cecil. I asked my mom, can we go to SeaWorld? She said, let me think about it. And my son said, no, Mommy, think it over means no. He told the story and he said, even a 2-year-old knows that think it over means no. Why don't you call my dad? This is his number. So as you can see, there's a buyer-seller dance. You have to figure out who's going to be leading. And when you say, you get to tell me no, they think they're in complete control. But you know what? They're playing by your rules. Whoever makes the rules wins the game. So that's what I would like to lead by. Oh, and the other thing, how do you create value? I'm going to tell you, people make changes in their life for 2 reasons: to seek pleasure and avoid pain. And the most compelling reason why people change in their lives is to reduce or avoid pain. And the best salesperson out there is a doctor. If you want to close more business, think about how a doctor would sell. They ask a ton of questions before they make a recommendation. If not, they'd be sued for medical malpractice. I'll tell you, business people commit business malpractice every day. They're solving the symptom and not the real problem. So this is my contact information. If people want to get a hold of me, and I will say at the end what my phone number is, probably the best way to do that, or email. So that's the buyer seller dance. If you understand there's a system put in place and understand it's not you, it's not personal, you need to figure out how you're going to destroy that dance, because it will destroy people's ability to sell. Jessica, thank you so very much.
Darren, thank you so very much. It is always a pleasure. And I'm going to go ahead and have you stop screen sharing.
Okay.
Oops. Oh, I accidentally hit the wrong one. I accidentally turned off your video. Please start it again. Oops.
Wow, I did such a good job with shutting them down.
Oh my goodness. You know what? This is what I get for like just wearing my blue blocker glasses. So now we are in the Q&A section of the the program with you. There's lovely Denise, and I would like to ask you a question,
Mhm.
if you don't mind. A few of them we
Please.
have. So,
Wait, can I
ah,
ask you a question first?
no, 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 no,
Is
no.
I can't ask one question?
Okay, go ahead.
Is anyone asleep? Because I have a reputation that I want to uphold. And if we have time, I'd love to tell that sleep story at the end. But
Well,
yes,
I was
please.
going to ask you, I mean, how many audiences have you put to sleep in your career? I mean,
Well, I'm so glad you asked.
I
Thank you for asking. So here's a true story. So years ago, my kids were at private school, and there's a bunch of women that like to gather together every morning and they talk. And one day, and I would, if I didn't have a gig, I wouldn't take a shower and I'd put a baseball cap on my head and I'd drop my kids at school. And one day I was picking up my children, and this woman came over to me and said, "Do you even work? Not do you work, do you even work?" I said, "I do." And she said, "Can I ask what you do?" I said, "Oh, I'm a consultant." And she said, "Really? Would I recognize any of your clients?" I said, "Oh, yeah, you probably would." And she said, "Can I ask some of your clients?" And I go, "Well, yes." But she didn't say, "What are they?" So I said, "Yes, you can ask." And then she said, "Oh, what are some of your clients?" Oh, I said, "Oh, okay. Would you like international, national, local to San Diego, the Chargers, the Padres, National Football League, American Express, Anheuser-Busch, Boeing, Honda, IBM, Toyota? Have you heard of those?" She goes, "I have." And then she said, "May I ask what you speak about?" And I go, "Now it's fun time. Like now I'm done." And I said, "Absolutely." And I said, "Come closer." And she said, "What?" And I said, "Do you know what the biggest problem in corporate America is today?" And she said, "What's that?" And I said, "People don't get enough sleep." She said, "They don't?" I said, "No." So they hire me and I get paid and I speak for 8 or 9 hours. And I look at no one can be more boring than me. I put people to sleep and they get restful sleep. And at the end of that time, they're very refreshed and like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." And she's like, "They pay you?" I go, "Oh, a lot of money." And then she said, "I should talk to my husband about his company." I go, "I don't think he's big enough." And so there you go. So if nothing else, I'm available for insomniacs. Yes, I can grow your sales 40 to 200%. Yes, my clients tell me they change their lives. They say it's not a sales training program. It's a life-changing program that increases sales. But move over melatonin, I could probably come in and bore the heck out of some people. That's my story, Jessica.
Love it, love it, love it. I do have a question from Mr. Charles Horton. Charles,
Please.
are you there? Would you like to, let me see if I can get you to unmute and turn your video on, since you have a question for our guest.
Hi, Cecil. Thanks. That was a great talk. I wanted you to kind of put this into the perspective of a dispensary. At a dispensary, people are coming in, and if they're in the store, they probably don't care what the price of the product is. They came in to buy, and they're probably not leaving without buying. Tell me what sales skills would do to help a dispensary owner.
Sure. Can I ask you a question? When someone walks into the dispensary, what's the first thing that person at the dispensary usually says?
Where's the weed?
The salesperson, the one who's working the store. What do they say when if I walk in your dispensary? What would someone usually say? What would you say if I walk in?
Normally they're so busy they're ignoring you and you have to get somebody's attention. I don't own a dispensary, so I'm just trying to put it into
Okay.
perspective
Sure.
for our
Sure.
viewers.
Sure. Normally, if someone says something, they'll say, "Can I help you with something?" And that triggers no thank you, just looking. Right? And then that automatically puts defense walls up. So the very first thing is that would be one, not say, "May I help you with something?" How about, "Hey, thank you so much for being here today. I'm kind of curious what brings you in here today." Totally different. Or a lot of times people say when they walk in, they want to be left alone. "Would you like to be left alone, or is there something I can assist you with?" Anything that is it's a pattern interrupt, breaks the pattern would be one thing. And the other thing is, yes, they're looking to buy. The one thing that I would suggest in the dispensary world is you don't want to come across too much like the expert because that turns people off. You tell stories, third party stories about how you've assisted other people. And they say, but I'm not sure that's something that's interested of you though, is it? And what that does is when I talk about that transactional analysis, that adult, the parent, the child tape, here's how people buy. The child tape wants to buy something. The parent tape gives permission and the adult justifies the expense. That's how people buy. So if I say, hey, a lot of people are interested in this, I'm not sure you would, they automatically go, well, why wouldn't I? When someone's voice becomes higher, that means their child tape is out. If you look at the way Madison Avenue advertised products, it's to get the child out. If I pop open a Coors Light, a locomotive of beautiful women will crash through my wall. That's appealing to my child. And then what happens is that's how people buy. So anything people can do to get someone emotionally involved would be very helpful. Did that help answer your question?
That was a great answer. And just as a follow-up question, you talked a lot about rapport, and I'm a big believer in teaching and using rapport with people in a dispensary environment where people want to come in and get their weed, their cannabis, and leave. Do you think there is a value in creating rapport, and what would that be?
It can be just something, anything that's simple that's going to allow the conversation. Because if they give you a one-word answer, they're not interested in engaging. If they start to have a conversation, then that's going to establish more rapport. So what you have to do, it's a tell. It's like playing poker. They'll give you a tell, like can I just get what I need? Just any question at all. Hey, I haven't been outside at all today. What's going on out there? How's the traffic? Anything like that just gets someone to trigger, and they're like, it's fine. FINE's an acronym I learned years ago. It means feelings in need of expression. So no reason to go bigger than that, but they'll start talking. And there's something called DISC. There's DIS and C. It's an assessment, and ways they give their responses, the way that you'll interact with them. And I don't have time to go into that, but if people want to, they can reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to share lots of things on bonding and connecting. If you don't bond and connect, then you're there simply as a commodity. And we learned about that earlier. We don't want to be a commodity. We want to create value. And so even by engaging with rapport, asking questions almost like a doctor would be very helpful.
Great answers. Thank you, Darren, and I appreciated your talk.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Darren. We appreciate the humor that we have had with you. You're always great for not only incredible information, your stories and your humor are priceless. And I was looking to make sure to see if everybody is still awake with us.
Please.
And
I got a reputation uphold.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being a part of CANNA World on our 1-year anniversary today. And we look forward to seeing you.
Can I share how they can get a hold of me real quick?
One more time? Sure. Can.
Well, phone number is 858-752-8481, or my email is Darren, DARREN, at Enrich, ENRICH, sales, SALES.com.
Thank you so very much.